The show starts in 3, 2, 1.
There goes that man's jock strap.
Oh my God, did you see that?
America's team? Yeah, right.
Oh, baby, it's a big day in sports.
There's nothing like battling it out with your teammates all season long to go win a championship.
Green Bay's got it this year.
Huge move for them. I think it's going to be a game changer.
We have a lot to talk about this busy week in the sports world. Welcome to the In a League of Their Own podcast.
The In a League of Their Own podcast is brought to you exclusively by YouTube. By Golf Kicks, Screw Your Shoes. By Anchor, the easiest way to make a podcast. By Canadips, a CBD pouch crafted and manufactured in Humboldt, California. And by Streamer Loot. Check out the In a League of Their Own merch line today. Welcome to the show. Here are your hosts, Austin and Collin.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 108 of the In a League of Their Own podcast. Kicking us off with today's 108 sports fact. In 2006, the Chicago Cubs won the World Series, snapping a 108-year drought, which is the longest for a professional sports team in the U.S. The Cubs went the distance, beating Cleveland Indians in Game 7, 8-7. The game went extra innings after being tied 6-6. And a 17-minute rain delay forced the teams to regroup. Cubs came out of it, scored 2 runs in the top, winning the World Series. Since then, most of the Cubs from that 2016 roster have parted ways, as Kyle Hendricks, Wilson Contreras, and Jason Hayward are the only remaining players from the 40-man championship roster that year. So, shout out to the Cubs. Again, 108-year drought. I feel like Cubs fans still bring it up 5 years later, but yeah, shout out to the Cubs, World Series win there. And yeah, before we jump into things today, again, appreciate all the support. Check out all of our social medias, Instagram, TikTok, Twitter. You can find the description links for those below. Anything that happens outside of the podcast, usually posting any sports news there. Here on YouTube, if you're enjoying the content, make sure you hit that subscribe button down in the corner. And for our audio episodes, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, anywhere associated with Anchor, you can find us there. And lastly, our merch, streamerloot.co, down in the description as well. T-shirts, sweatshirts, mugs, all that good stuff. You can find that there. And also a quick shout out, Canadips. Got us some shirts, one of our sponsors. So shout out to those guys for always hooking us up with some good product and now some merch. So let's jump into our NFL recap of week 8.
Yeah, so let's go first things first. Carolina coming out with a victory, 19-13 over Atlanta in Atlanta. Sam Darnold being knocked out of the game with a concussion after he looked to be, I'd say he seemed like he definitely was looking better than he was previously because of no turnovers. He didn't turn the ball over at all. He was managing the game. He did only have 129 yards, however, but yeah, I say that was a well put together game for Carolina. And if Matt Ryan wouldn't have thrown those 2 interceptions, Carolina would have fell again.
Yeah. Again, Carolina, one of those teams that started 3-0 and went on a 4-game skid since then. But yeah, I mean, Sam Darnold goes out with concussion. Yeah, 129 yards. Yeah, I mean, Carolina kind of staying alive. Falcons, who kind of came alive with a couple wins in a row, they're now dropped below 500. But yeah, I mean, for the time being, Carolina is kind of hanging on to that team. And I guess kind of sticking with a little bit of Carolina news, a couple things came out over the weekend and just like today and post game yesterday. Late last week, the Carolina Panthers owner came out and said that they are still looking to acquire Deshaun Watson from the Texans. And on top of that, they were willing to put Christian McCaffrey in that deal to acquire him. Since then, Matt Rule and the Carolina head coach and the GM have come out and basically said the opposite of that they're not going to pursue him, even though the owner came out and said that they are. So seems like
It
there's
was
some mixed feelings there.
Yeah, that was just a rumor that surfaced and I don't know how it was tied to the owner saying that, but yeah, immediately after that news breaking out, Matt Rule, the owner, and the GM all three-way called Christian McCaffrey and said that they were not planning on shopping him. He is 100% tied to Carolina, just reiterating that they had no idea where that came from.
Oh,
That was just a big rumor that blew up, but yeah, I think Schefter was the one on Friday morning or it was Saturday. I don't remember which day it was, but yeah, he came out the day after and basically said that that was a complete lie.
yeah, I
He
thought something
had
was weird
blown some
about
shit
that.
up.
Yeah. But yeah, then moving on to our next game here. Titans Colts. This one had to go overtime. Big back and forth game. Wentz had a really good game until his two interceptions that pretty much determined the fate of that game. But yeah, in the end, Titans go on to get a win in overtime, kick a field goal to win it. But probably the biggest news out of this game is Derrick Henry suffers a foot injury that is going to be season ending for him that he's going to have to get surgery on.
Where it's season ending? Where did it
Yeah,
say? Where was that?
I don't know, just from doing some digging into it. Of he had a foot injury, he is going to undergo surgery for it,
Tomorrow
and
morning. And
yeah,
Vrabel said that they're just not putting a timetable on when he's going to be back during the regular season, but he's hoping that he's going to be back for the playoffs.
oh well, I mean, optimistically, yeah. I don't know. I mean, yeah, I've seen like the no timetable, but I've also seen like season ending or ending injury, which I mean, depending if the Titans make the playoffs or not, it could be season ending if they don't make it. But
Yeah, well, I read a report that it was just a crack in one of the bones in his foot, and that they're just going to be able to put a pin right back in that, and it should only be 4 to 6 weeks, is what they're saying
oh,
for
okay,
the healing of that. But then you have to do rehab on top of that, as far as letting it heal and then work yourself back in. So you could be talking 6 to 10 weeks. And that's right around the end of the season playoff time, if obviously everything goes according to plan.
yeah, yeah. I guess he hasn't undergone an MRI yet. Looking at it, that's where they're saying no timetable, or that's like where the no timetable is coming from, because obviously it depends how the MRI comes back. If it's like you said, a cracked bone, like those can heal quickly, but if there's like tendon or ligament damage, anything like that, that could be season ending. But I guess we'll find out exactly once that MRI comes back. But um
Yeah, and then also big news coming out of that. Adrian Peterson was flown into Nashville early this morning to sit down with the Titans to potentially discuss filling in.
Hmm.
In the meantime, as they ended up losing their backup running back, Darrington Evington's on injury reserve, losing him to the season for a torn ACL. So they just brought in Jeremy McNichols and Jontrell Hilliard to the roster. So they have two not named guys who are in the backfield, kind of like the Browns were a week ago. They brought in Adrian Peterson to sit down, and who knows if he's going to be the one carrying the rock in the meantime.
Yeah, it'd be cool to see him back on the field. I know when we were kind of looking at some running back records and stuff, he's close to getting there if he can find himself on an NFL roster again. So, um, I mean, if the Titans stay run heavy, he could get a lot of looks if they decide to pick him up. And then, yeah, on the other side, Colts fall to 3-5. I mean, within the division like this, they're now 3 games back from the Titans, so they got a tall road ahead of them. But I mean, if the Titans are without their main guy, they could start dropping games left and right. And if the Colts can kind of figure their shit out, um, the AFC South could turn around in a hurry.
Yeah, the other name also that has been circulating, Deonta Foreman and Todd Gurley, two other names that have been surfacing around the Tennessee Titans organization since Derrick Henry's injury. Also looking into that, he should have been undergoing an MRI early this morning, so we should hear the severity of the injury sometime today.
Sounds good. Moving on to the next game here, another within the division matchup, the AFC East. Dolphins on the road in Buffalo. A game that was pretty close. It was 3-3 at halftime, kind of a low-scoring affair, and then Buffalo turns it on in the second half. Josh Allen, again, another multi-touchdown, 0 interception day. Buffalo keeps rolling.
Yeah, I don't really have much to say on that game other than the Bills' first half slow start is the only reason why this game was close at halftime. I was scoring them 23-8 in the second half. Could have been 43-11.
Yeah.
So, Tua, however, he looked pretty decent. Granted, he did have one interception, no touchdowns, but that Bills defense is one of the top 5 probably defenses in the league, especially on their secondary and the pass defense. So, I mean, I think he looked pretty good. I mean, this was only his 13th start in the NFL. Like, people keep forgetting. People talk about him like he's been in the league for 4 years playing. Oh, he stinks. Let's just move on from him. It's just like, you just drafted him last year and he missed a whole bunch of time from an injury. Like, let this guy try to prove himself. Like 21 from 39 on a team where you have no weapons. I mean, I think that's pretty good.
Yeah. Yeah, nonetheless, Miami's 1-7. Kind of looking like they're going to be one of those first teams eliminated this year with the path that they're taking. The upset of the week. Moving on to the next game here, Cincinnati on the road in New York. New York shocks the football world, winning 34-31 over Cincinnati. A game where rather than the Jets kind of pissing away at the end, the Jets turned it on with a 17-point fourth quarter and got it done over what was the top seed in the AFC at the time. Unbelievable effort. Mike White, 405 yards, 3 touchdowns, 2 picks, 37 for 45. So what is that, like 80 something percent of completion rate? Yeah, what a game by the Jets. Obviously sitting at 2-5, but I mean, these kind of wins are what help turn the organization around and get it moving in the right direction, just to get that confidence and swagger back.
And just like we said on Friday, this could be one of the upsets just due to the fact that there's no film on Mike White. They have no idea how he throws, what he does. Clearly throwing for 405 yards on supposedly a really good defense. Rodgers didn't even hit those numbers on Cincinnati's defense. Like, he lit them up.
Yeah.
Yeah, this was a big loss for Cincinnati. Steelers rolling. I mean, they could have easily just put themselves back into I feel like they just put themselves back into the thick of it. They had their chance to separate there to put that little bit of cushion, but them slipping up, now they're a game behind Baltimore. Baltimore was on their off week, so now it's in Baltimore's control here on out.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like that's a bad thing to do, especially when they're getting a lot of their guys back right now. That might have been their chance potentially out the window. Now they're fighting for that wild card spot.
Yeah. The AFC North is pretty tight. Like you said, when we get to that game, Steelers are kind of getting some momentum back. But yeah, this was Cincinnati's chance to kind of separate themselves, as there's so many 2-loss, 3-loss teams in the AFC right now that they go from the 1 seed to, I don't even know what they'd be now, if they'd even be in the playoffs at this point. I don't know how many 2-loss teams there are.
They'd be 7 right now.
Oh, wow.
They'd be the last team to get in.
That's crazy. But yeah, again, huge win for the Jets. It's gonna I know we talked about this a little bit, just texting back and forth after this game yesterday. Zach Wilson is supposed to come back next week or the following week. If Mike White plays one more week, and if he can get another win, putting up numbers like this, yes, you just drafted Zach Wilson, but how can you take Mike White out, who just won you a huge football game, if not two, depending on how next week goes?
Yeah, Zach Wilson was actually supposed to be coming back this following. He was supposed to play Thursday night. And Saleh ended up coming out yesterday after the game and saying Mike White is going to be the starter on Thursday night. So I feel like this is his job to lose. He may have just worked himself into a starting role in the NFL, and he led them to a win, huge win. I feel like this is a lot of energy moving through that building right now. They got a young guy that, hey, he's really good, and he's not turning the ball over like Zach Wilson. It, like I said, it's his job to lose. Otherwise, after the season, I could see him finding a role on some other team being a starting quarterback potentially, because there's a handful of areas that are in question mark.
Yeah, and as you mentioned, they have a short week. Thursday night football. They play the Colts, who again have been a shaky team. So if Mike White's going to put together 2 wins, Colts could be one of those teams that he does it against. Again, the Colts defense is stellar, so he's going to obviously have a tall task ahead of him. But also the Cincinnati defense is one of the top defenses this year as well. So I don't know. Colts off a short week after just taking it out at home. I don't know. Jets are riding that high. I mean, I hope that they pull it out, because it's fun to see like that drama shake out, how that's going to work.
I'm already taking the Jets.
Yeah. I honestly might too. Just with, again, Mike White with having
Colts off a heartbreak, going the distance. Jets on fire. I mean, it's a perfect storm for the Jets to put 2 games in a row.
Mm-hmm. And both wins have been against good teams, the Bengals and the Titans, both who were at one point first or second seed, top of the AFC. Jets took them both down. So Jets have the pieces to get wins. It's just a matter of both sides of the ball playing together a full game, and that's what they finally got yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
Moving over to the last game of the AFC North here. Pittsburgh on the road in Cleveland. Kind of it's a low scoring game, 15-10. Steelers get the win. I don't know. I mean, Baker Mayfield back after being off a week. He didn't.
Same stats as always.
Yeah, same stats as always.
No turnovers, no touchdowns.
Yeah. They also get Nick Chubb back, who had a season low 61 yards rushing.
And they had OBJ and Jarvis Landry together for the first time that all 3 of them have been on the team together. This is the first time that all 3 of them have been in the lineup at one time. And
OBJ had 1 catch for 6 yards, so he didn't really do anything.
And Jarvis had 5 for 65, which is nothing. So,
and Jarvis kind of, I wouldn't say he's single.
He looked hurt still.
I wouldn't say he single-handedly lost in the game, but between the fumble and the dropped pass on that 4th down, which would have put him in 1st and goal in the last 2 minutes there, those are kind of 2 game-changing plays. But again,
and then the Steelers fucking running their stupid play with their kicker rolling out, getting fucking rocked into concussion, out for the game. If they call that unnecessary roughness, because I saw a lot of things this morning being talked about that play, how kickers and punters in that situation are technically deemed a thrower, so they are protected by quarterback rules. He got fucking laid out, which would be a roughing the passer easily. Nothing called on the play, and they're potentially out their kicker for who knows how long, because he did not look in a good shape after that.
Yeah. I saw some stuff about that too, where there was kind of that discrepancy of he's a thrower, so he should get the quarterback rules, but at the same time, they treated him also as if it was a running back or receiver trying to like throw a pass as well, to where they don't get as much of the benefit, which in this case applied to him. But yeah, if they get that roughing the passer call, they get another shot at scoring, because that was a field goal. where they would have got it first and goal, probably at the like 1 or 2 yard line, whatever it was, and maybe scored. But yeah, I don't know, kind of a silly move on Pittsburgh's part. Again, they get the win, so in hindsight, what was the like? You didn't gain anything by trying to go for that fake. If anything, you lost more than you gained because you didn't score. But
Yeah, I feel like it was trying to make it an 8-point game instead of a 5-point game. So instead of a touchdown winning, they'd have to go for 2 and convert that, especially with your defense playing the way that you have, holding the Browns only scoring 1 touchdown on the day. I mean, the Steelers team is riding high right now. That's what, 3 that they put in a row together now?
I want to say so. Yeah, they beat Seattle last week. They won this week, and then
Yeah, they lost to the Packers, and they beat the Broncos, Seahawks, and the Browns now. Yeah, I mean, this is a team that's moving and grooving, put themselves right back into the conversation of playoffs after this win. I feel like at the end of the day, I mean, I hate to say it, but I honestly feel like this Steelers team is going to leap the Bengals weeks coming here in the standings in that division. And that's one other thing that we forgot to mention. Now that it's getting colder, the Bengals not having that indoor practice facility, having to travel 3 hours to the University of Cincinnati if they do want to have an indoor practice. How much is this going to affect them coming here now that we're hitting these colder months? Is this a start with the Jets? You know, like, is this the start now that it's getting cold that they're just going to slide all the way to the end and it's going to be the Bengals and the Browns on the bottom again, just like always?
yeah. And the one thing too with the Steelers, kind of looking at their last 3 games that they've won, I'm kind of looking at it like a Carolina Panthers, Denver Broncos start, to where they beat the Broncos, who have been sliding. They beat the Seahawks without Russ, and they beat Cleveland, who's been hurt and sliding as well. To where the Steelers play a good team a couple weeks in a row, they could go on a 2 or 3 loss streak to where it kind of exposes them. Like, for the meantime, yeah, it looks good. They're on a 3-win streak, but they haven't played very good teams.
Well, they beat the Bills week 1.
Yeah, but if they had a rematch right now, I don't know if that go the same way, just because they're all both like.
We shall see in a couple
Bills
weeks when they play again.
Well, they're not in the same division. They won't play.
Oh, fuck.
I don't know, that the Bills look like they're in better midseason form than the Steelers, I guess is what I'm getting at. But
see, I think the Steelers look better than they have all season long right now.
Well, yeah.
Ben Roethlisberger not turning the ball over. Najee Harris finally getting the amount of touches that he needs to get. Their defense is spectacular. I mean, I don't see them losing for a couple. I got to pull up their schedule here. See when the next time. Well, they have 2 easy games. Bears, Lions in the next 2, so those are probably win-win. Then they play Chargers, Bengals, Ravens, Vikings, Titans, Chiefs, Browns again, and the Ravens. So that's a tough stretch to end the year. So we'll see how good they are coming down the stretch if they don't lose anybody, because they finally got back healthy after that week 1. I feel like that's why they went through their shit streak, was they were really banged up.
Mm-hmm.
And they were healthy week 1. They beat the Bills. They're back healthy right now, and they put together 3 in a row. So I don't know. I feel Ben's got some magic cooking here. I feel like on this last ride, potentially this could be it.
Yeah. Moving on to the most lopsided game of the week here. Eagles on the road in Detroit. Best 0-7 team we've ever seen. Maybe not anymore. Eagles get the win 44-6 on the road. Detroit only putting up their 6 points in the fourth quarter, being shut out for 3 quarters. I mean, I saw what you're like, because I know that was your upset pick this week, was picking Detroit over Philly. And I feel like I was pulling for them too this week, but right out the gate, I mean, going into halftime, down 17-0, it's like, all right, they're not built for comebacks. They're Heck, they're not even built for 13-0 leads because they can't hold
they
those
almost
either.
came back against 49ers.
Yeah.
That was a tremendous comeback. I feel like, but that's it. They just put themselves in too big of a hole to where it's unrealistic for them to even have a chance of coming back. Like, and then you look at the Eagle, Jalen Hurts, 9 for 14, 103 yards. Gardner Minshew, 2 for 211 yards. They threw the ball 16 times. It's like, if you only got to throw the ball 16 times and you're winning 44-6, Detroit Lions, fucking fire sale, dude. Start getting rid of people who don't want to be there. Rebuild. You need to rebuild this thing now. Goff's clearly not your answer because he can't throw. He's looking like Baker Mayfield. The same type of not throwing touchdowns. And if he's not throwing picks, great, but usually he's got 1 or 2 to his name instead of touchdowns. So yeah, this Detroit team, I feel bad. And I feel like I've cursed them by picking them 2 weeks in a row and then just getting shit on 2 weeks in a row. So, yeah, might be the end of picking them for the rest of the year.
Yeah. And we were talking last night, kind of looking at the streak. They are on a 12-game losing streak, so they wouldn't come close to beating the record. I think it's week 8 or week 9 next year to where they'd be in that conversation of longest losing streak in the NFL. But nonetheless, in the first 17-game season, we might see an 0-17 team.
Well, in looking at their schedule, realistically, they got 4 chances: the Bears, the Vikings, the Broncos, and the Falcons. Realistically, that's it. So, running out of time, Lions. You're running out of time.
Move on, next game here. A game that looked close, but in all reality, it wasn't really. Rams on the road in Houston, 38-22. They led 38-0 after 3. Shutout in the 4th. Houston scored 22 unanswered, still lose by 16. Matthew Stafford, another MVP-esque day, 305 for 3 TDs, no interceptions. On the flip side, Davis Mills, again, kind of solidifying himself as that Texans quarterback moving forward. 310 yards for 2 TDs on the day, so he's still hanging in there. I mean, again, a 22-point quarter, that's pretty damn good. I mean, at that point, I don't know how many second, third string guys were in for the Rams. Maybe that's why they kind of went on a run. But anytime that you're scoring 22 points in a quarter against anybody, that's good. At that pace, you're scoring 88 points in the whole game if you can keep that up.
Yeah, I'm gonna say a lot of these stats are air stats. The Rams, I did actually get to watch some of the highlights in the end, and it looked like most of the starters were still in. However, they were just playing. They were sitting 20 yards, 15 yards back, letting them take 10 yards, 10 yards, 10 yards, letting them take it and letting the clock just keep rolling. So that's why his stats ended up getting to 310 yards. Just like, what was that last year where Dak Prescott had all those yards? And it's just like, yeah, when your team's down by 20 points at the end of the game, you're going to be able to get 300 yards because the defense is going to let you.
Yeah.
Like, there's no point in stopping you. You're just going to keep running the clock out and get the game done faster.
Yeah.
So, my one takeaway from this game, though, now that the Los Angeles Rams defense has Von Miller coming aboard, this team, are they built to do it now? Like, I feel like that could have been their missing piece, having a guy on the other side of Aaron Donald to really cause some havoc here.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of shakes things up a lot with the Rams, Packers, and Cardinals being the only 3 or 1 loss teams remaining. I mean, again, the Rams are in a tough division, although they've kind of, aside from their one hiccup against Arizona, they've been rolling.
And the Cards lose JJ Watt. I mean, like, you look at those 3 teams that you mentioned, all 3 teams made offseason moves, brought defensive players in to play. That's to step in and play. Now, Cardinals lose their guy. They kind of move to that 3rd spot. And I feel like it's those 3 teams that are literally gonna battle it out. You have to keep the Bucks name in that conversation. Cowboys you have to throw in there too because they're running away with the East. Saints, you could even throw them into the conversation, which we'll get to when we get to their game. But yeah, you have about a 3-team kind of runaway race right now for that number 1 spot. And I don't know, the Rams may have put themselves up to that number 1 spot with getting a guy like Von Miller to come in who's going to be playing every single snap.
Mm-hmm. And I know it's in a couple weeks, but this game is is having more and more weight added to it as it gets closer. When the Rams come to Green Bay, that might be to determine a 1 seed when that's all said and done. Yeah, I think it's in 3 weeks, 4 weeks, something like that. It might be right out of the bye week. Honestly, that might be the first game.
It's Thanksgiving week. It's November 28th.
Okay, so 4 more weeks then. Yeah.
Because they have a bye. Rams do.
Okay. Yeah, that game as it gets closer and closer, if they're going to be 2 10-1 teams going in, which could be very possible. Yeah, that could determine the 1 seed. So that's going to be a huge game. But yeah,
Rams they play the Titans this weekend. I mean, that's a
Sunday Night Football. Yeah.
Yep, that's a team that's moving. Then they play the Niners the following Monday night, and then they have their bye week coming into Lambeau, followed by the Jags, Cardinals, Seahawks with Russ back, Vikings, Ravens, Niners again. So not an easy way out for all 3 of these teams. I feel like right now, looking at the schedules, I feel like Cowboys right now are kind of in that driver's seat for easily being able to be the number 1 team in the NFC, not having to, if they can get past their game against the Saints, the Cardinals, and the Chiefs, and the Raiders, you got to keep the Raiders in that conversation too. But if they can keep pace and get through those 4 games, they could be fucking 16-1.
Mm-hmm.
Like, not playing a lot of difficult teams, really.
The only one I can remember is they play Cardinals. I think that's going to be their toughest team going forward.
Yeah, them and the Chiefs.
And the Chiefs, but
because the Chiefs are in do or die mode, which we'll be able to see on display tonight.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Again, we're kind of getting to that point where some teams are starting to separate from themselves, and it's kind of a little cluster at the top right now. So it's gonna be interesting how that shakes out. Going over to NFC West, NFC North matchup here. 49ers on the road at Chicago, get the win 33-22.
Homecoming for Jimmy G.
Yeah, he gets it done. A Baker Mayfield stat line, 322 yards, no touchdowns, no picks. But yeah, they get it done. On the other side, Justin Fields kind of hanging in there. Well, it looked like one of his better games he's had this year, at least compared to last week when they got shit stomped by the Bucks. But
his turnover killed him.
Yeah. But holy crap, I didn't realize he had that much rushing. 103 yards rushing for him.
That's all he was doing. That's kind of all he was doing all day long. Left and right, left and right, left and right. It was, I mean, if he's got to run for 103 yards and you're still only scoring 22 points, like, fuck. Obviously, them without Khalil Mack, that really hurts them. But this 49ers team, maybe they found their recipe, dude. Eli Mitchell. Maybe he's their guy. 137 yards on the ground against that Bears defense, which is very tough to run against. Yeah, back to the 49ers running game. When they're dominant, they run for 150 yards.
Mm-hmm.
This team did it. Their defense stepped up when they needed to. Yeah, I think this was a huge win for the 49ers. If they lose that, they definitely slide into last in that division and basically can kiss the season goodbye at that point because you ain't catching up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, 3-4. I feel like half the league right now is in that 3-4, 4-4 kind of realm right now. So the next 2 weeks, teams who go on 2-game skids, all right, you're out. Teams who go on 2-game winning streaks, all right, you're a
You're right
wild
back in
card.
it.
You're
Yep.
right back in it. So, but again, 49ers in that NFC West. I don't know who they play in the next 2 weeks, but I'm guessing they play somebody in the division. Or
Yeah,
you
I
said
think they-
Rams, right?
Yeah, their next 2 games are against the Cardinals and the Rams.
Mm.
So
I mean, that'd be two
if they're
saving wins.
clicking right now, exactly. Like these are division wins. These are the games that you're gonna have to win if you are gonna contend for the playoffs. And that whole division knows what it's about. You're gonna have to beat your division members. And this is the first time this year where they're going through the gauntlet.
Yeah, and then on the flip side, Bears follow 3-5. They're kind of, I
They're
mean,
out of it.
yeah, they're 4 games back from the Packers now, so they'd be playing for a wild card spot. But again,
Them and the Vikings losing literally gave it to the Packers.
yeah,
Unless we have something tremendous happen, like lose Aaron Rodgers or something.
yeah.
No.
Moving on to the next game here, one of the closer games of the week. Patriots on the road in LA. 27-24, improved to 4-4 on the year. Mac Jones, again, if it weren't for Jamar Chase, he'd be in that conversation for rookie of the year. But
No, dude, I feel like this puts him
level, if not a small notch ahead.
just because being a quarterback is so much more difficult than being a wide receiver. And I don't know, man. Like this, I picked them because this team is rolling right now. They put up 54 against the Jets on the road against the Chargers, a team that's supposed to be really good. They stun them. Obviously, the game could have went either way. Justin Herbert with his 2 picks really kind of was the deal in really making this a close game. But still, New England Patriots, that defense, they know how to get it done. Mac Jones is that quarterback that can come in and win you games. He doesn't turn the ball over. And that's what you need in your quarterback. And that's why they went and got him. They don't need him to throw for 7 touchdowns. They just need him not to turn the ball over.
Yeah, like you said, the Patriots are rolling now again at 4-4. Still back from Buffalo, but I mean, if they can steal a game against Buffalo, and then they still have games against one more against the Jets, one more against the Dolphins, those could be 2 easy wins for them. Again, at 4-4, any of those teams that are 3-4, 4-4, kind of in the middle of everything. I mean, even the Chargers, despite a loss, they're at 4-3. They're still above 500. But they have their bye week already, so they don't really have that lull period to where they can kind of go back to the drawing board, figure things out. They don't have a bye week to lean on anymore, so they got to keep rolling. They got to find a way to keep winning games in that AFC West. That if the Chiefs figure things out, they could slowly be down in that Broncos territory at the bottom of the division. But
yeah, and then the Patriots face the Panthers, Browns, Falcons, Titans, Bills, Colts, Bills, Jags, and Dolphins to end the year. So if they're relevant, if they're still in the conversation without losing, let's say 2 more games before they face the Bills for that first time on December 6th, if they can take both games from the Bills head to head, finishing with the Jags and the Dolphins to stack 2 more wins on at the end of the season, this Patriots team could be in the hunt.
Moving on to one of the late games, Jags on the road in Seattle.
Urban Meyer went to the chop house before the game. Smoked.
Seattle gets their first win at home on the year. Big win for Geno Smith again.
Yeah, what the fuck was that gameplay when I picked you last week, bud?
Well, they didn't play the Jags defense. That was why.
And it wasn't raining like a motherfucker, but
yeah. I mean, not a whole lot to say about this game. Seattle kind of stays alive. They fall to 2-6. They're pretty much out of it. I mean, at 3-5, they still have a lot of things to
Yeah.
figure out. But
They're tied with San Fran right now.
yeah, but again, 3-5 is a hell of a lot better than 2-6, so they're kind of staying alive. Jags at 1-6. Again, one of those teams right there with the Dolphins of take your keep playing for a high draft pick. Keep throwing games if you can, kind of thing. But yeah, again, not a whole lot to see about this game. Lopsided win. Seattle finally gets a win at home. Yeah, move on to the next one. Again, one of the kind of nail biters until the last 30 seconds. Bucks on the road in New Orleans. New Orleans with the huge dub, 36-27. Your boy Jameis goes down.
Yeah.
ACL injury. He's out for the rest of the season. In steps Trevor Siemian, gets the win against a really good Bucks defense, and they're in the driver's seat right now at 5-2. Even though they're one less win than the Bucks,
Bucks are on their bye this week.
Yeah, Bucks are on their bye. Saints
get a win. They're number one in the division head to head.
Mm-hmm.
So it's in their control at this point. Getting Taysom Hill coming back, supposed to be back in the lineup this coming week. Trevor Siemian still maintaining the reins at the helm. He did a solid job. This Bucks defense. So one thing that I've been noticing, their pass defense is horrendous. Their run defense is very good, but their pass defense is horrendous. And last night, by committee, the Saints ended up putting up the most rushing yards on the Bucks all season, 152. So they really did it by committee. They did it over and over again. Sean Payton's game plan, I feel like it was a very solid one. And you don't turn the ball over, and that's what you get. You can beat Tampa because you're not giving Tom those extra chances, at the end of the game. And then just like I texted you on that last play where that pick six, when you put him into the position to almost have to do it, last night was the first night where I have seen Tom Brady not take over the game. It almost was like it went backwards. Like time started to turn the other way where he was a second slow on the read, late on the throw. The corner already jumped that, where I don't know. We haven't seen that before. So who knows where the Bucks are at right now, but that's a big loss for them in the division. And yeah, the Saints team. Who that?
Yeah, and Tom Brady, despite 375, 4 touchdowns, still had a good game. His 2 picks was the difference maker. Again, one being that pick six right at the end of the game when they're trying to go down and win the game. Yeah, I don't know. Obviously at 6-2, they're still right there. They're still one of the top seeds, so they no need to panic. But again, this is a pivotal game to where they beat the Saints. They take a 2-game lead in the division. Now, again, on their bye week, Saints can take the lead in the division if they get the W this week. Going down to our last 2 games here, kind of another one, not a whole lot to talk about. Washington on the road in Denver. Denver gets the win, 17-10. Stops their 4-game skid after their 3-0 start. Again, low-scoring affair. Teddy Bridgewater gets it done. Kind of a big thing for Teddy. 0 interceptions on the day, where he's been good for 1 or 2 a game, kind of forcing the ball in some spots he shouldn't. On the flip side, Taylor Heineke balls out 1 week, next week kind of lays an egg. Unfortunately, this is one of those weeks he lays an egg again. 2 interceptions in a 1-score game, low-scoring affair. Those 2 interceptions are what make or break the game.
I thought it was the 2 special teams plays made by the Denver Broncos, the 2 blocked field goals.
Field goals, yep.
I feel like that was the game changer in this game. 2 different times where Washington would have taken the lead in the game, weren't able to get it done. Broncos ended up scoring that touchdown, and that's that.
Yeah, again, Broncos at 4-4 right in the mix. Washington falls to 2-6. in that NFC East where Dallas is running away with it. So, yeah, it's over for them. And then the Sunday night football game last night, Dallas on the road in Minnesota. Cooper Rush, the third backup quarterback on the day to lead his team to a huge win. Dallas 20, Vikings 16. Kirk Cousins, yet another primetime loss. I don't know what he's at. I know he got one finally. He's like 1-8 or 1-9 now in primetime. They get Dalvin Cook back. He gets hauled under 100 yards. Dallas defense holds Minnesota to 16 points. And Cooper Rush does enough to get it done.
Yeah, this was a win by committee on the Dallas side. Obviously, without Dak Prescott right before the game, that news coming out. Granted, they've been practicing all week with Cooper Rush taking team 1 reps just because I feel like they all knew that was going to happen. But yeah, for the Vikings, this was a game that they could have made a statement saying that they are legit and they are for real, but Kirk Cousins shrinks in the big moments. And there were a handful of plays in the game yesterday where he wasn't going through his progressions and he was just winging it to the guy, halfback off to the left, tight end, just turning around and there's 3 guys on him and he's getting crushed. They're losing yards on the play. And then when they'd go back and they'd replay it, Adam Thielen was open on a handful of those, wide open, could have easily went for 50 yards if Kirk would have just picked up his head, look, and found him. Granted, it's harder than it looks when you have people running at you and all that type of stuff, but still, you have to have the presence of being a quarterback, standing tall in the pocket, not panicking, being able to go through your progressions, knowing if you're going to get hit, you're going to get hit. I feel like this could be the end of Kirk Cousins in Minnesota, just due to the fact that they have Kellen Mond, who was a tremendous college quarterback for Texas A&M. And I don't know, maybe he can get it done in the big moments where Kirk can't.
Yeah, with them slipping again, Minnesota and Chicago slipping in the north. I mean, I don't see them pulling Kirk Cousins yet, but say they lose one more and it's kind of Packers win next week, Minnesota loses 2 weeks later. Maybe they kind of, all right, Kirk, go out there, throw a pick or make a bad throw. Kellen Mond goes in. Again, don't really know where they're at with that or if they're to that point, but obviously, like you'd like the guy to get reps in a real reps mid-season versus coming in week 1 not knowing what the guy's got yet. So, let's see what they do there.
He's tied to the team through next season.
Kirk,
$45 million cap hit. He's gonna make $45 million next year. And it's all dead. It's all cap hit. It's just full. There's no money saved
if they get rid of him. Yikes.
And I mean, for him being franchised 3 years in a row, he made $84 million from 18 to 20, and now he's making another 66 from 20 to 22. This guy's going to be one of the richest quarterbacks in football for being mediocre.
Yeah. Dallas moves to 6-1 again. Stretches their lead in the East. They're rolling right now. And kind of recapping here, our game tonight. New York Giants on the road at Arrowhead. Giants have put together a couple wins to kind of keep their season somewhat alive, but yet still way behind in the East. Silver linings that the Chiefs are not the same Chiefs this year. I don't know. I mean,
Chiefs 42-17.
42-17.
Yeah, they're back. This is the night they're back. After watching Patrick Mahomes sit behind the camera on Sunday morning on NFL Countdown, getting to talk about how this year's a little bit different than years past. Him confident that whole team confident, knowing all they need to do is get into the playoffs, and they have a chance for it. They are that team that has the weapons to do it. They just need to figure out how to get it done by committee. I feel like them being in the Super Bowl every year since Mahomes has been on their team is kind of huge expectations for the fan base. Granted, they've lost a couple games. like it's not the end of the world. Mahomes has lost a handful of games in his career. You know what I mean? But him being confident, just hearing him talk, the swagger that he carries himself with, I feel like this team's going to be back, and I'm ready to see a downpouring tonight. And that's why I'm going 42-17.
Sounds good. Yeah, I think the Chiefs bounce back too. But again, that defense is not. I mean, I see the offense stepping up and getting it done, but the defense is going to kind of keep it a closer game. I'm going to say Chiefs 31, Giants 23. 8-point game, still comfortable enough win, but again, I'm not sold on that defense being on the same page. As all year, they really haven't had both sides of the ball play a full game. So once that happens, obviously, Chiefs are going to be a scary team again, but I don't know. I mean, tonight they're set up for a good spot to kind of show what they have again against a beat up Giants team. So see if they can get it done.
Yeah, and it's no easy road for them through the end of the year either. They do not have one easy. The Broncos, you still never know what you're going to get with the Broncos team, but obviously them losing Von Miller, that's going to be a little bit different. But other than their game tonight, they have a tough sledding. Packers, Raiders, Cowboys, Broncos, Raiders, Chargers, Steelers, Bengals, Broncos. So they have tough sledding through the end, already having 4 losses on their slate. This division with the Raiders 5-2 atop, Chargers 4-3, Broncos 4-4. The Chiefs are in last place currently because they have had their bye and the other teams haven't. Oh, just kidding.
No, they just haven't played yet this week.
Yeah, that's what I meant to say. This is their game to make a statement. And if they don't, this could be a missed year for the Chiefs in the playoffs. Because you really think about it, one more, 5 losses. I don't know.
12-5 is the best you finish. That's going to be
and the Raiders only have 2 losses and the Chargers have 3. So you have to bank on them hitting a shit streak. I don't know. I just don't see it getting done unless the only way that they could do it is if they lose and then they beat the Raiders both times head to head and Chargers both times head to head. Well, never mind. They lost to the Chargers once already.
Yeah.
But yeah, things are getting interesting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that's it for NFL news for the week. Over to the NBA, I didn't write anything down. There aren't any like injuries or really big things. At least I didn't write down. I don't know if you have anything to throw out there for this week.
For the NBA?
Yeah.
Just one thing. The Nets, now that they've kind of hit their winning streak without Kyrie, Kevin Durant just came out and said that they still would be way better if they had him on the team. So news continuing to circulate on this whole thing. I don't know, dude. I can't see a full season being missed because of something like this. I feel like at some point during the year, either the team's going to cave or Kyrie's going to cave. At the end, it's going to turn out to one of those things happening because who wants to straight up sit out playing basketball when that's the one thing you love to do?
Yeah. Well,
he's making a point of saying, come on, team, have my back here instead of fucking leave me out to dry. And clearly they're leaving him out to dry. And I feel like this is a power move, hoping that the team's going to cave.
Well, that's the thing. The team can't cave because they're going by New York City rules. So the state of New York would have to cave if he's going to play, essentially. Unless they're if they let him play road games.
State, like if the team's begging the state, like, come on, make an exception, Yeah. Like I feel like an NBA team has any professional sports organization, I feel like, has some pull when it comes to legislation in the state. So we'll see how this whole thing goes. But yeah, pretty crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, baseball season's getting rolling, or basketball season's getting rolling. Um, Bucks lose 3 straight. I guess that's worth mentioning. But again, their season's still young. Not, I mean, these as much as it's nice to get out to a 5-1, 4-2 start and look good, it really doesn't matter until you get on the other side of the All-Star break. Then you kind of figure out who's who. So, Bucks are still without Lopez and Drew Holiday. So, when you're missing 2 of your 5 starters, that's huge hits. So, not too worried, but nonetheless, we're on a little bit of a streak here. But then going over the diamond here. Games 3 and 4, 3, 4, and 5 of the World Series took place over the weekend. Atlanta took games 3 and 4, took a 3-1 series lead. Last night, Astros stayed alive, forcing the World Series to finish back in Houston. Astros still face elimination the rest of the way. So, yes, they're at home, but they have to win 2 in a row, and Astros just have to win one of the last 2. Braves have to win one of the last 2. I mean, would have been nice to see the Atlanta get it done at home, but I don't know. I mean, I know both of us are pulling for the Braves. Like, nobody really wants to see the Astros win, but I don't know. It sucks to see, like, you don't want to see them get it done, but at the same time, it's cool to see sports moments of 3-1 deficits. People come back and win it, but I don't know. We'll kind of see what happens. I know the Astros bullpen kind of got depleted last night to hang in there and win this game. So makes you wonder how healthy, what guys are going to be ready to go for the next game. They do have a day of rest today, so I guess that kind of plays to their favor. But yeah, we'll see how game 6 shakes out.
Yeah, I mean, if Houston wins, this is going to be one of the greatest comebacks in the series we've seen in a long time. And this is going to be one of the biggest choke jobs by the Atlanta Braves bullpen, because all you hear about is how their bullpen is going to shut them down. Their bullpen's the best in baseball, while Houston's continued to battle and score the runs when they needed to. So how good is this bullpen? They've let 2 games slip now. Are they going to let another 2 go and they blow the series?
Yeah. Game 6 tomorrow in Houston. Braves can still close it out. Obviously, if they force a game 7, that'd be a crazy game 7, but see what happens tomorrow. Heading over to the NHL. What's the latest over there?
So, latest thing going on in the NHL, the Blackhawks yet again lose another game. They get blanked by the St. Louis Blues on Friday. They now fall to 0-7-2 on the year. It's going to be a tough struggle for them. And also, Patrick Kane has now been put on the NHL COVID-19. Oh, never mind. He's finally out of the NHL COVID-19 protocol. He was in that, as well as a couple other members on the team. So they're getting their players back, but I still don't think that they're going to make an impact on the season, as all the outside news and stuff. And then, as well as that, just like I predicted, how their team's going to take a hit, they faced the first unsold out game in, I think it was 10 years, this last week at the United Center. So fans definitely are paying attention to what's going on and don't support anything that's happened. As far as that whole incident, Kyle Beach, one of the people that happened to, has spoke with Gary Bettman, and they're working on placing protocols in the NHL to make sure that there's nothing like that can happen, like that it can happen. Obviously, we'll see how that goes. Hopefully everything, hopefully they can find something to make it a safer, better league. But at the end of the day, it's on the people for not saying anything, and trying to hide it. Other big news, Sidney Crosby makes his debut Saturday, and the New Jersey Devils spoil that with a 4-2 win over the Penguins. Crosby said that he still has some improving to do after he's not back to 100%, but he still went out there and gave it his all. Calgary blanks my Flyers 4-0 for their sixth straight victory, putting them right behind the Edmonton Oilers in the standings. It's going to be a tight. Never. Technically, it puts them ahead of because they have one more game played, but realistically, they're technically 1 point behind because of the games played. But yeah, they sit at the top of that Pacific Division right now. Oilers right on their heels. This Flames team, no, I don't think a lot of people expected them to make a push this year, especially after their early exit in the playoffs last year, their makeshift playoffs that we had last year. They've just been going through it. They re-signed a couple big guys on their team this offseason. Looks like that could have been the tide turning up in Calgary. They're on a roll right now, and they still have a lot of their young guys, their young core group, and Sean Monahan and Gaudreau, Kachuk. They have a lot of good guys on their team that can still contribute, and look for this team to be there at the end. I feel like they're going to be in the playoffs this season, not slipping on the outside. Turning over to the other Canadian team that we have followed last year due to their Stanley Cup final run and Cole Caulfield being on the squad. Earlier today, Cole Caulfield has been sent down to the Laval Rockets in the AHL after only having 1 point in his first 10 games on the season. They sent him down in hopes that he can basically find his confidence again, as that whole team's kind of in a dumpster fire. It seems like they went from being a really good team and they lose Shea Weber, their top defenseman. They lose their goalie, their top goalie. They get rid of a couple other players who go to Carolina and go to a couple different other places. That team's a mess right now. Hopefully for Caulfield, hopefully we like to see him get back up at some point, but I feel like being sent down, this is a big message to him that he needs to step up his play, basically, as being a top draft pick and only having 1 point in 10 games and you're technically in your rookie season. Not a good start for your career. Granted, he lit it up last year at the end of last year and through the playoffs. Maybe he's just a big time performer, and the regular season's where he needs to get his work in. Ryan Getzlaf for the Anaheim Ducks passes Teemu Selanne to become the Ducks all-time points leader. That happened yesterday, so that was pretty cool to see. They gave him a little tribute and homage for passing Teemu Selanne, who is one of the greatest players of all time. And then Kraken end up getting a win. Excuse me. I was looking at the wrong thing. Kraken end up losing to the Rangers yesterday, 3-1. Who the Rangers, Shesterkin, their goaltending, that team looks like they could be a real deal this season. They added toughness to the lineup, getting Vegas's Ryan Reeves over there for some of their protection. That team, I feel like, it made all the offseason moves. You have, what do they call it? I'm blanking right now. Best defenseman in the league award, Adam Fox, Rangers defenseman. He's definitely on pace, looking to have another season of winning that award again. That team looks phenomenal right now. People are saying this season could be one of the most lopsided seasons we've seen, as in the West, you kind of have a lot of struggling teams where they're saying roughly it could be about 83 points, that cutoff mark to make the playoffs, like that borderline where you go over to the East. They're saying this could be about a 98 and 99 point cutoff, as all of the teams over in the Atlantic or in the Metropolitan Division, there's 12 losses total. 3 out of 8 teams in the league. And then you go over to the Atlantic. Besides the Canadians, the rest of that division is right there as well. But yeah, Metros lighting it up this year, just like always. I'm hoping my Flyers can make the playoffs this season and have a nice little push. But yeah, this is going to be a very, very fun year to watch. And then speaking of fun to watch, McJesus still on a teared pace. He's up to 16 points now through their first 7 games on the year. Ovechkin right behind him with 15 points on the season. And Ovechkin off to a torrid pace of 9 goals already on the year. People are saying he could hit 60. So, I mean, Ovechkin, watching him play, it's like he's a young kid again. He's got a lot more energy than he's had in years previous. Who knows if that's a new shakeup of the team? Obviously, bringing in players in the offseason and all of that type of stuff kind of rejuvenates you. He did get that new contract signed, so maybe that was looming over him. But yeah, ever since he's been back there, he's just been a blast to watch this season. Seeing him on all the highlights, just being nuts, rocking people into the boards. It's like he's the young 18-year-old kid that we saw in the NHL back when he first broke into the league. So maybe the TB12 effect has some on Ovi here, and maybe we can see him do something that he hasn't done in a long time, and that's hit 50.
Yeah, there's a look at the end of last year because he was dealing with a bunch of injuries. It was kind of like everybody's kind of holding their breath, myself included, as to like, oh shit, is he gonna come up short again? End of his contract, he's hurt. Are Washington Capitals gonna waive him? Are they gonna do their due diligence and keep him? Obviously, they do the right thing and keep him. And like you said, he's off to a tear this year. But yeah, great to see him bounce back from their early exit in the playoffs last year. And they're, like you said, that whole Metro is looking really good.
Yeah, and then games to watch tonight. McJesus is taking on the Kraken tonight. That should be a fun one to watch. I believe that starts at 9:00.
Yeah, I think
just
so.
because Edmonton's 8:30. Capitals, Ovechkin take on the defending Stanley Cup champions Tampa Bay Lightning at 6, and then Ottawa takes on Chicago at 7:00. So if you want to see a really bad team play, turn it on at 7. You can watch the Hawks. If you want to see some good teams play, you have 6 and 8:30. So yeah, that's kind of all I have on the NHL.
Sounds good. Going over, kind of recapping week 9 of college football over the weekend. Badgers beat Iowa 27-7, reclaim the Heartland Trophy. Huge win to kind of stay relevant in the Big Ten West. They moved to 5-3 on the year. Kind of shaking things up over there. Another Big Ten rivalry, Michigan State. Michigan State holds on to beat Michigan 37-33. That was a really fun game to watch down the stretch. Came right down to the end.
Hell of a comeback by Michigan State.
Yeah, they're down. What was it,
30-10, I think?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
They came back hardcore because after I picked Michigan State, I just remember checking the score when I was on break at work, and I was just like, oh my God, they're getting smacked.
Mm-hmm.
It's like I picked Iowa, they lose. Badgers obviously hope that they win, but just the way that it was going, picked Iowa. Then I was like, Sparty, pick them. And they were in the same type of hole. And they ended up pulling it off. What a tremendous day. That guy had 5 touchdowns.
Mm-hmm. Walker. He's kind of moving into that Heisman conversation now.
He should be.
Yeah.
Him and that freshman from Oklahoma, you have to put him in that conversation because ever since he stepped in, he's been unbelievable.
Mm-hmm. And then the other Big Ten game that happened, Ohio State, Penn State. Ohio State wins their 6th straight with a 33-24 win over Penn State. As they're kind of trying to get back in that top 4 conversation. Kind of an update on the rankings in the top 10 here. Top 4 still remain the same. Georgia 1, Cincinnati 2, Alabama 3, Oklahoma 4. Michigan State moves up to 5. Even though they won, Ohio State drops to from 5th to 6th. Oregon, their win, they stay put at 7. Or Notre Dame moves up from 11 to 8. Michigan's lost to Michigan State. They fall to 9. And Wake Forest making moves, rounding out the top 10. The other 9 or 11 through 25, you can check those out, kind of see where the other teams lie. Wisconsin's still outside the top 25. But they played Rutgers this week, so maybe a win moving them to 6-3.
Michigan State faces Purdue, that team that upset Iowa. Can they do it again to another top-ranked team in the country? They got Michigan State coming to their house this weekend. It's going to be a big game.
Yeah. Yeah, we're getting to kind of to that point where college football playoff rankings. I think this week is actually the first like college football ranking party show, whatever, of the year. I'm not sure if that's tonight or tomorrow, but they're just kind of breaking down the top 4 teams and the first 2 out, kind of looking at that as we get closer and closer to the end of the year. We kind of see, I mean, the top 4 could still be shaken up as Cincinnati, even though they have the easiest strength of schedule going forward. Who knows there? Obviously, Georgia and Bama.
There's only 4 weeks left.
Yeah.
And then you have your conference championship games, which have a lot of implications.
Mm-hmm. As with that being said, Georgia, Alabama are going to play. Oklahoma still sitting at 4. They've been able to avoid kind of getting close to being upset as of late, but nonetheless, in the Big 12,
Cincinnati is going to have to play Houston.
Yeah,
or
Houston
or SMU.
Yeah, and both of those are ranked teams as well. So, a lot can still happen.
You got a lot of Clemson. Looks like this is going to be one of their first years that they're not going to be contending for the ACC championship. Over in the Big 12 right now, how it looks, it's going to be Oklahoma either versus Oklahoma State, Baylor, or Iowa State, depending on which team can make a run there. Big 10 right now, as it stands, Minnesota and Ohio State would be going head to head, but obviously Ohio State having to play Michigan State and Michigan yet. Wisconsin still having to play Minnesota yet as well.
Yeah, they end the year with them.
Things can still shake out where you have teams on a roll right now as Minnesota and Wisconsin both on 4-game winning streaks. And then on the other side, Michigan State's on an 8 and Ohio State's on a 6. So, I mean, you have a handful, Mid-American, the Independent, Notre Dame, how high are they going to finish? BYU, how high are they going to finish in the rankings? Mountain West, you don't really have any contenders there. Pac-12, Oregon, they're going to end up playing Utah probably, which ain't going to be anything. There's going to be really no implication there. And then, the biggest one, Georgia and Alabama. And is that going to knock a team out of the top 4 at that point to slide it deep?
If Georgia loses, I feel like they keep Georgia in. But if Alabama loses, I'd be pissed if they fucking.
You see, like if Georgia loses to Alabama at number 4 or number 3, right? Because Alabama's 3.
Alabama's 3.
So those would swap. Alabama would go 1.
Yeah.
Georgia would go to 3.
Or Cincinnati, if they stay perfect, they're the 1 seed. A lot can happen, but I don't know if Georgia's 1 losses to Alabama in the SEC championship, you got to keep them in the top 4. I think, especially.
But if Alabama loses,
get them out of there.
They should be out with a 2-loss team at the end there. It's looking like that could be out.
Yeah, the fact that Alabama lost to an unranked team and they're still in the top 4 still blows my mind.
Who'd they lose to again?
Texas A&M. When they were unranked.
They were 13th.
Oh. Wait, no, because that was like a 200 some game streak in Alabama history.
The last time was when Johnny Manziel beat him. Yeah, just going back on ESPN.
Yeah.
They were 21.
Oh, they were 13. Texas A&M 3 versus 13 at the time.
That's what they are. No, that's what they are right now.
Oh,
At the time, I just looked it up. At the time, they're number 21.
oh, okay. Oh yeah, I see that now. It's showing all the current ranks. I see that
Oh,
now.
no, just kidding. They returned to the polls. So they were unranked, and they were number 21 after they beat
Okay. I was gonna say I thought they were unranked because it like broke like a 200 some game streak for Alabama against unranked teams.
Yeah. Texas A&M becomes first unranked team to beat Alabama since 2007
Yeah,
for the first time in 101 games.
101.
And I think the last time that it was Johnny Manziel.
I think it was, yeah. Yeah, that's still like I don't know.
No, Johnny Manziel was 2013.
So yeah, it still blows my mind how the top team in the country loses to an unranked team and they still keep them in the top 4. Because look at who was it? Iowa. They dropped from 2 to 9, losing to Purdue. So how do you drop from 2 to 4?
Because Texas A&M is really good.
They were unranked at the time, though.
Yeah, but that was one of those situations. They beat Florida. They beat Alabama. It was one of those weird situations where it was like Georgia beat this team beat this team this team beat this team. And it's Texas A&M was that team that was like the weird team that lost to. Who did they lose to?
A&M.
I'm looking right now.
They're 4-2.
They shit the bed to Arkansas, dude.
Oh yeah, that was right. That's right.
20 to 10.
And they lost to
Clemson. Who's number 2, and UCLA to start the year. So they're a 3-loss team.
Why does it say 4-2?
Oh, because that was not their year. They lost to Arkansas and Mississippi State.
Yeah, I was looking at that too. That's September 3rd, 2017. So for whatever reason, they're showing the Aggies' schedule is going back to the 2017 season. Yeah, they started with Kent State.
Yep.
Yeah, the 2 losses.
And they have
Arkansas,
Auburn, who's ranked, Mississippi, who's ranked. Dude, if they win these next couple of games, they could put themselves right back into that conference. They beat Alabama.
Yeah.
Dude,
but as
it's been good this year.
But as a 2-loss team, unless you have another 2-loss team that's up there, because you have Cincinnati, Georgia, Oklahoma unbeaten, Alabama 1 loss.
The top two loss teams are Auburn and Texas A&M, and then Ole Miss. 12, 13, 15 are the top 2 loss teams. Then BYU 17, Kentucky 18, Iowa 19. And then you have Oklahoma, who's 9-0, and they're number 4. Alabama, who's 7-1, is number 3. That just doesn't make sense. But Oklahoma doesn't play any really good teams.
Yeah,
sucks ass. They get lucky.
Mm-hmm.
It's like they should when they join the SEC. We'll see how good they do.
Yeah.
Same with Texas. We'll see how good those 2 teams actually are. When you have to compete against the Georgias, the Alabamas, the Floridas, the Tennessees, the Missouri, South Carolina, Auburn, those are some fucking big schools.
Mm-hmm.
Those got to be the richest schools in the country. Georgia, Kentucky, Tennessee, Florida, Missouri, South Carolina, Vanderbilt, Alabama, Auburn, Mississippi, Texas A&M, Mississippi State, LSU, Arkansas. All for football. And they all got to be just loaded.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, kind of wrapping up. One of the last pieces I have to talk about, at least. We don't talk about it a whole lot, and we always shit on him, but Jake Paul set to fight Tommy Fury Tyson Fury's brother on December 18th in Tampa, Florida.
Thought it was a stepbrother.
Yeah, half brother or whatever. Stepbrother, half brother, one of the two. Yeah, nonetheless, Jake Paul gets another fight. Undefeated versus undefeated. So hopefully Fury will put him in his place because I'm sick of hearing about Jake Paul. But probably still won't watch the fight, but I'll look at the highlights afterwards.
Yeah, early things that I've been taking away and reading from this fight is that Jake Paul supposedly has put in all these ridiculous clauses and things in the contract.
Oh yeah, that Fury can't knock him out. I saw that was one of them.
Yeah, it's an 8-round fight. 3 minutes. Yeah, there's like no, I forgot what it was, dude, but it's insane.
Well, if you're gonna add all these clauses that like go by professional boxing rules or don't have a record.
Here's some of the clauses. 1, Tommy Fury has to change his name to Tommy Fumbles if he loses. Another, Fury earns $500,000 directly if he wins. Something about no kidney. Dude, this is stupid. It's probably just a bullshit article anyway. So we'll see what happens when the fight comes out. Everything, all that'll be.
Well, I know. I'm talking about actual rules to the fight. That like Tommy Fumbles thing. That's just like side bets that Jake Paul threw out there to like, if you lose, kind of like the Woodley having to get the tattoo on his finger. That's just like extra side bets for fun. But yeah, I want to say one of the like rules that Jake Paul put is that Fury can't knock him out or something, unless that was again something stupid. But
I ain't finding anything on as far as that. It's just Paul's talking a lot of shit.
yeah.
But it's so funny because did you ever see the video of Fury and his people found Jake Paul when he was at like a hotel or something? And he was like, come on, fight me, let's go, take the fight. And he was like, kept saying like, no. And then his people got in the way and there's like a big scuffle in the hall and Fury was yelling at him. He's like, you pussy, take the fight. And it was like 2 days later where it came out and he took the fight. So, yeah, hopefully Paul gets his ass kicked. I'd love to see it.
Yeah, that's all I had for today.
And then the last thing that I have today is Baltimore Ravens linebacker Malik Harrison was shot in the leg by a stray bullet on bye week as he was attending a family gathering in Cleveland over the weekend. He got out of his car and he was walking to a residence and he was hit by a stray bullet in the calf. So non-life-threatening injury. Nobody knows who shot him. Nobody.
Always in Cleveland. Isn't that like the third or fourth time? Like, what's his name? Fuck. Somebody got caught with like a gun in their car. I think that was in Cleveland. Somebody got stabbed. Like another athlete got stabbed. That was in Cleveland. Like what?
Yeah. There's a lot of stuff that happens in Cleveland.
Yeah.
Cleveland's just not a good place. But if you live there, sorry to say it.
Yeah.
I just don't like being there. I think it's a shithole.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's all I got.
Sounds good.
All right. Well, thank you everybody for stopping by. We appreciate all the love and support that we continue to get every single day. Yeah, NFL's rolling. All sports are rolling. Tune in on Wednesday to hear all things sports on all topics coming from tonight all the way through Tuesday night. So shout out to everyone. Like I said, we appreciate all your love and support, and we'll see you guys on Wednesday.
See you Wednesday.